If I bring my daughter to my cousin's wedding, my sister won't go. She must have some serious beef with your daughter. This story came January 28th, 2026. I want to be as fair as possible because I myself am torn right now on the decision to make. My sister has a debilitating fear of vomiting. I don't think this story is gonna go where I thought it was gonna go. Our family has a history with OCD, and when she was in middle school, she had gotten incredibly sick with E. coli and was hospitalized for 2 weeks. During this time, she had frequent vomiting and got moderate esophageal damage from vomiting, which caused her pain for months and some complications afterwards. Since then, she has altered her life to ensure that she never vomits again due to her trauma. She sticks to eating only bland foods, will not eat any food she hasn't prepared herself, doesn't drink or take any medication that can cause vomiting, and obsessively checks new alerts for salmonella, E. coli, or stomach virus outbreaks. This isn't a mild dislike or a phobia. She has quit a job and lost relationships over her obsession. There is no world where she can just suck it up, even for a few hours. I have heard of people having a very big phobia or fear of getting sick, or even someone else getting sick around them, like will send them into a spiral. It has never fazed me, and I feel like that came from when I was in ECE in the toddler room. We had toddlers puking all the time, and guess who had to clean it up? This girl. A few months ago at my mom's birthday gathering, my sister's fear extended to my daughter. She seemed normal before we took her to my parents'. However, she vomited once on the couch. My sister screamed and immediately got up and left. My daughter asked her why her aunt left without saying goodbye and felt bad that her getting sick scared her. I was pretty upset with my sister after that for hurting my daughter's feelings, but they resolved it over FaceTime. Since then, she has avoided my daughter in person, although she still calls her and sends her gifts. This incident did cause her to seek treatment, however, and she's been in therapy for a couple of months now. My cousin is getting married on Valentine's Day, and my sister called today saying she doesn't think she can attend if my daughter attends. She's been tracking the stomach flu in our area, and apparently there's a mild outbreak, and she's convinced my daughter will get it at daycare. She was really emotional on the phone, crying profusely and saying she knows her OCD is a problem, that she needs to fix, and that she loves my daughter to death, but she cannot fix it in time for the wedding. She's also really close to this cousin and was set to help her get ready, so not going will also devastate and upset the bride. I asked her about whether she's afraid other guests will get sick, and she just said it's easier to avoid physical contact with adults, and my daughter will run right up to her. I told her I will control my daughter, but that wasn't good enough for her because children touch everything. I told her that if my daughter gets sick, we won't take her, but she pointed out that the last time we didn't realize she was going to get sick. I love my sister, but I also love my daughter, and I don't think my daughter should be removed from family gatherings just because she got sick one time. And while I know my sister can't fix her mental health overnight, she has known for years that she needs treatment and hasn't gotten it until recently. I'm just skeptical that this won't lead to further exclusion for my daughter. My daughter is 3. I know she won't care about not attending the wedding if we distract her with something more fun. I know securing childcare won't be that difficult. My husband's parents can watch her, but it's the principle of having to change our plans to accommodate her illness that she has known about for years and hasn't taken steps towards alleviating. I told my sister I will think about it, but I'm honestly torn. Would I be the a-hole if I said no to her request to leave my daughter behind, which is what I am leaning towards? Okay, then she added an edit to this post and wrote some additional context. I want to bring my daughter to meet her extended family members. This is normal in my family. Everyone brings their kids for this reason, and the bride and groom fully support this. The bride would prefer my sister be there if the situation were in a vacuum. However, if the bride knows my sister is considering not coming, she will not be as understanding. I cannot ask the bride without ruining their relationship. Also, there will be other kids, but my sister isn't afraid of them because she hasn't seen them vomit. Now, OP was popping off in the comment section responding to things, so we're going to check out some of the questions and the answers that she was giving. Someone commented and asked, why do you want your daughter there? OP said, there are family members that my daughter has not met yet that I would want her to meet, and some that might not be around much longer. My family sees weddings as family reunions. The people traveling across countries are expecting that they will get to see loved ones that they haven't seen in a bit, and the new additions in the family. The bride and groom explicitly want this. Weddings aren't seen in my family as just about the bride and groom, but about all the family members. Anyone in my family reading the comments below would totally be on my side. Next comment, why are you making it about the daughter and not the bride and groom? I'm assuming she got this question a lot. Maybe it's cultural, but that's not how my family sees things at all. All of the adults have been getting excited to see each other after a long time and meet the new additions to the family, and my cousin and her fiance are 100% on board with that. At the last wedding we had for a different cousin of mine, that was the atmosphere and everyone loved it. That's why children are invited in the first place. There will be other kids at the wedding, but OCD isn't rational. She is fixated on my daughter because she's the youngest kid that can walk. They have a close relationship. There's a norovirus outbreak near us, and most importantly, she has seen her get sick. She's been around my daughter numerous times in person. It's this specific instance of her getting sick that triggered her. Whether she reacts to the other kids at the wedding remains to be seen. Right now, she's not as worried about them. Yeah, I guess there's gonna be other kids at the wedding though, who go to school and daycare and who could get just as sick. Next comment, not the a-hole, but consider the bride. Would she rather spend the day with your sister, whom she's close with, or with a 3-year-old? Sorry about the tough situation, it's certainly not fair to you. OP responded and said, yeah, that's a great point. My cousin would be really sad if my sister didn't come. Next comment, the nice thing to do here would be to not bring your daughter. I was ready to tell you to bring your daughter and let your sister deal with it, but given how young your daughter is and that your cousin would likely prefer your sister to attend, I would be inclined to go with your sister this time. I would definitely watch and make sure that it's not an ongoing expectation though. At the end of the day, it's something your sister needs to work on. OP wrote, it sucks because I love everyone involved and I don't want to cause pain. I admit I'm a little sensitive to my daughter worrying about triggering my sister because of how my siblings and I were to feel about our father's OCD. Very different compulsions, but we always walked on eggshells. I don't want that future for her, but I can talk to my sister about how to deal with that in the future and just let her enjoy this event. Yeah, because the bride, I understand the point of the bride would probably rather have her there. She's not going to spend all that much time with a 3-year-old, you know? And she's helping her get ready, which is a really fun part for girls on their wedding day. Next question. Someone wrote, what is she going to do if a guest pukes? Other kids, drunk people, someone having a bad reaction to food, someone choking. There are so many scenarios here. OP said, typically alcohol puking triggers her slightly less because you can't catch drunk. But if she's not 100% sure that it's someone drunk getting sick, she will freak out. Other kids or a reaction to food, it's genuinely plausible that she won't go to another family event if that happens. And then the last comment, your sister sounds like her OCD is running her life and causing major issues. I hope she gets effective treatment and it lasts. OP wrote, me too. I hate that she lives in fear and this is just the worst of her obsessions. I want to know if you guys know someone who has this phobia, fear. I do know Matt, who's in the other room, he cannot be around that. I mean, it does not control his life by any means, but if someone is getting sick, he don't like it. Like that will make him sick. Doesn't faze me, which is, I guess that's a good thing, right? Nothing to brag about though. All right, we have our first update, which came 3 days later. We're now at February 1st. A lot has happened since, and I wouldn't say that all that has happened has been productive. In my initial thread, I had made a decision to tell my sister I won't bring my daughter. During the conversation, I told her that this would be the only time because I didn't want our daughter to end up like we did dealing with our OCD father. My sister seemed to take this to heart. I asked if she talked to her therapist. She said no because she was afraid the therapist would tell her something she wasn't ready to hear. I know I may get hate for this, but I amended my offer. I told her she has to tell her therapist about this during their next session and get her opinion and support before I exclude my daughter. I made this choice because I don't think it's healthy for her to keep things from her therapist. If her therapist agreed with her, then I wouldn't fight it. But if it was potentially enabling, I don't want to impact her care by reinforcing anything that could cause later harm. So my sister talked to her therapist. Apparently her therapist told her she can't dictate a guest list as a coping mechanism, and that's just not sustainable, and told her to seek coping mechanisms that won't require others to change their behavior. Before telling me what her therapist said, my sister ended up going to the bride directly and asking if she could wear a mask and be seated away from my daughter during the ceremony, and then she would leave after the ceremony. This caused some conflict between my sister and the bride because she didn't want the mask in the pictures and was upset that she would be leaving so soon. They compromised and agreed that she will take her mask off for the pictures. My sister texts me that I can bring my daughter. In the background, before my sister's texts, I was prepping my daughter not to go and setting up some fun time with her grandparents. After my sister's text, my cousin ends up calling me and discussing how annoyed she is about the mask and how she didn't make my sister a bridesmaid because she has these limitations. I asked her if it would just be easier for me not to bring my daughter. She gave the vibe that this would be her preference instead of my sister wearing a mask. Then I text my sister that my daughter isn't coming, and while I don't tell her it is due to my cousin's request, she goes on a rant about how my cousin will not accommodate her and admits that she came to me because she knew my cousin wouldn't accommodate her. Apparently, my cousin was already annoyed that she planned not to eat at the wedding unless she could bring her own food. Oh, yeah, because she doesn't eat food that's not prepared herself. My sister thinks excluding a person is more unreasonable than a slight modification to the dress code due to a health issue. And while I agree more with my sister than my cousin, I'm not the bride and I don't want to be in the middle of this. She said my daughter will actually be healthier for her since it's partial exposure therapy, but she needs the mask as an aid. At this point, I'm tired of the back and forth and I want it to stop, and it's all happening within the same day. I tell my sister my daughter won't come and we'll just go to the aquarium instead, and that a wedding is not a venue for exposure therapy. I just didn't want my cousin or my sister to change their mind again. Next week is the wedding, and at this point, I don't know if my sister will get ready with my cousin still. It sucks that their relationship is breaking down over this, and my relationship with both of them is kind of affected because I feel like my daughter and I were pulled back and forth in the middle. In happier news, I asked my daughter if she would rather go to the party, what we're calling the wedding with her, or the aquarium with Nana and Gramps. She chose the aquarium on the condition that she gets cake, which was her sole motivator for going to the wedding. So at least someone is happy. Yeah. I mean, thinking of a 3-year-old, I'm sure they'll have way more fun at an aquarium than a wedding. Depending though, because I guess when you have all your little cousins together and music, like it could be fun. We're gonna check out some more of the comment section because once again, she was in there responding. But first, you know the drill. You know what time it is. It's hydration station time. We gotta drink our water. Cheers. I am just very pink everything today. I got invited to an event coming up, you guys, and it's for Maybelline, and the theme is so on brand for me, okay? Y2K. Y2K. I'm like, sign me up. Just put me there. Put me in, coach. I already have every outfit. I have so many outfits I can choose from. They're like, we're thinking tracksuits, we're thinking Uggs, Y2K inspired. Anyways, it's coming up in March, so if you want to see my outfit and what that ends up being, I will probably post it on social media, but... Are we thinking headband? Do I do this hair? I feel like that could totally work. All right, someone commented and said, I sympathize with your dilemma. Part of me wants to suggest you remove yourself from the middle by being honest with your sister that your cousin would rather your daughter not come to accommodate the mask, or get them both on a call together so everyone can discuss it together. But I understand why you don't want to potentially extend all the upset around this, and you have a solution that mostly works. I have a burp. I can taste my avocado. An avocado! Every time I think of an avocado, I think of that video. OP responded to this and said, I did admit to my sister that it was my cousin's preference that my daughter not come instead of my sister wearing a mask and leaving early because my sister ended up figuring it out. I feel like both my cousin and sister are harboring some resentment towards one another that they just need to figure out. I love them both, but it feels like I, and my daughter is by extension, being used as a solution for their personal issues with each other. I'm providing them both an out, but sooner or later they need to talk and I don't want to be in the middle of that conversation. Next comment, I'm assuming your sister will never want children of her own. I agree with whoever posted that she needs inpatient psychiatric treatment. This is probably way beyond normal therapy helping. Why on earth didn't your parents start handling this when she started behaving this way in middle school? Epic parenting failure. That's a bold statement. OP responded and said, yes, she never wants children even. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I feel she would be so paranoid about, because kids get sick all the time. Daycare, oh, school, ooh, nasty. Do you know how many times I got pink eye working there? I had pink eye every month when I worked at the daycare. Anyways. No one needs to know that. She loves being an aunt, but even outside of her OCD, it's never been a desire of hers. While I do think my parents did make several mistakes, the progression creeped up instead of coming all at once. After her E. coli recovery, she still had a few complications with her digestive system and esophagus that required her to eat low FODMAP food. She ate like that for a few months out of necessity, and after that, it became her strong preference. Since my mom had been adapting her meals already, cooking for her separately wasn't an inconvenience and just seen as a preference. In college, her obsession ramped up. She stopped eating food that my mom cooked. She started wearing fabric gloves in public, which we originally thought was just a fashion choice. She stopped eating uncooked vegetables after hearing about another bacterial outbreak. And eventually she cut out all leafy vegetables. I write this all out to emphasize that OCD sneaks up on you. You change one thing and then it's easy to change another and then you just make it feel logical. My father suffers from it too, and I exhibit some OCD symptoms, although not as intense. Before you know it, you are really deep in it. I would love to hear from people who maybe have their own OCD struggles. I can't relate to that, especially something as intense as this where it affects your everyday life. So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. I'll see you there and let me know what you think. How would you handle this? Would you have brought the daughter, not brought the daughter? How would you have handled this entire thing? Let me know. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.